About 15 years ago, I began writing my own training plan. This was then at age 11 or at age 12, I'm not exactly sure when, but I began. So I began with alternating resistance training and running mostly, and adding school sports on top of this, also swimming on top of this, and a few other things. A hike, for example, that I might do with the family, but then in the evening, I would not know whether I should run or not. Because should I? Should I not? Should I? Should I not? Probably I should. So I now want to explain the current split of training I am running, and this has been the optimization of now 15 years in the making. So the week has 7 days. I start the week on Sunday. Why? Because then the Wednesday is kind of more in the middle. If I start the week on Sunday, I then also train in the morning. This is also now something I have implemented over the last year, training in the morning. Why? Because it seems to align better with my circadian rhythm, allowing me to then sleep better at night, and allowing me to now have a sleep score often above 80, sometimes 85, whereas before I usually had a sleep score of 60 or 65. So by training in the morning, I also am less focused during the day, which is a bummer, but it also means that I can then eat, because I already spent a little bit, I didn't spend, I already earned a few of my calories, which I then can eat at an earlier point in time, compared to me just doing nothing for the same time and having less calories burned at a given point during the day. So now I do run on Sunday in the morning, 5 to 10 kilometers currently. Then I do have 3 resistance training sessions that are the same full body workout. Why? Because if I miss one, then it's not that big of a deal. I think it also reduces the complexity of the whole training plan. Because if I, for example, run on this day and then I have legs on here, but it's a leg day, then there might be some interference. But if I just have it simpler, if the workout repeats itself, then if I make one change, then this change applies to all of this, and there are multiple more things I could go into, but I won't. On Wednesday, I do resistance training. Every training I do is between 30 and 40 minutes. I tried in the last 15 years, to go down to about an hour of training. Now, I sometimes ran longer than this. I sometimes did not. I sometimes trained only for 20 minutes. So I track a workout, so I see if I did a workout that was greater or equal to 20 minutes, then I track it as a training. I also have a different habit, which is the minimum habit of greater or equal than 10 minutes, which is just being active. And then if I want to properly track it, it is the 20 minutes. So the 20 minutes is the workout. But what I usually do, and now did for the last year I did not miss a single workout in the last year. I just track it whenever I hit 20 minutes, and I usually train between 30 to 40 minutes, usually averaging 35 minutes in the gym, for example. Why? Because I try to get it down to an hour. So I activity switch, for example, at 6:30 in the morning, then I go to the gym, I begin training maybe 10 to 15 minutes later, then I train for 35 minutes, and then I try to shower and get home in a certain time. So this is why this results in 30 to 40 minutes, a little bit of variation. Then on Tuesday, I currently do a sprint training or VO2 max training or interval training. It depends on what you see it as. I do 1 minute on and 1 minute off. I currently am rotating in between 5 different stations. This includes rowing, this includes treadmill, this includes biking indoor, this includes currently the elliptical, and then the air bike. And then 1 minute pause in between, which results in 15 minutes of working time. But I already changed this as of recently. Then again, resistance training. Then on Thursday, I used to swim. I also used to bike once a week, and I had also 1 day a week where I would do something that was new, something that was not in my schedule. But the problem is that then once the time came, I just was too unsure of what to do, and then I would judge myself on the result of it anyway. So I decided to include it into my plan. So now the morning training is completely planned, and now I began to again have an evening training in order to increase my cardiovascular activity during a given week, in order to increase my Garmin endurance score, which seems to be dropping. Now I also basically standardized the Thursday workout compared to biking outdoors before with lights and traffic and so on, to 40 minutes or 35 minutes of air biking in the gym. Which also means I hit the gym basically almost every day. Not basically almost every day, but 5 out of 7 times a week. Usually, sometimes 6, sometimes 7 days. Then I also have Friday resistance training. Then I also have Saturday. On Saturday, I usually do a little bit different. I do a circuit training, which also could be just a fourth resistance training, but I usually try to do something that is a little different. It could be a calisthenics training. It could be hitting different machines at the gym. It could be setting a few basically benchmark exercises, which would kind of be a standardized test. I also did Cooper tests, for example, on a Saturday within this training. So Saturday was previously the day that had a little bit more flexibility. Then there is also the evening workout, which I now have added sometimes a little bit. So I do grocery shopping 2 times a week, and I need time for this. So I currently am doing this on Monday and Friday in the evening at 6. Or I start at 6, or sometimes I do it a little bit earlier or later, but that's kind of the ideal schedule. This means that I walk around a bit and so on and so forth. I also try to hit 10,000 steps every single day, but sometimes I don't. But I seem to average about 10 to 11,000 a week. Not a week, but on one day on average in a week. Now, I also go to the sauna, and I tried going to the sauna in different patterns. So I started going to the sauna due to listening to Andrew Huberman, and also a few other people talked about this. I didn't read any studies in regards to this. Maybe I should, but I basically started going to the sauna. There seem to also be a few other benefits. It seems to be a little bit of a social time. It's kind of you with these other people in there together, and you all are kind of doing the same thing, but it's not like where a workout where it's kind of a competition, where because you need this machine and the other person wants to squat now here and so on and so forth. So I did first 10 minutes of sauna after every resistance training. I also tried to do red light therapy in my gym, because they happen to have a red light sauna bank, not sauna bank, but sun bank. I think that's the proper word, but they just got rid of it. Now, this means I have a little bit of additional cardiovascular training on Sunday. And now on the other days, I first of all reduced my commuting, my bike commuting, and this is due to the fact that I just no longer bike so much in terms of commuting. This means that I have less activity in a given week, and I somehow needed to replace it. But I also noticed that if I'm just in this place all day, which I call usually the office, then there seems to be a little bit of I need to get out a little bit more. So what I've added or began to add is visiting. So I visited experimentally a few courses in my gym, which means that I was twice a day in the gym. On Sunday, for example, I would not be twice a day in the gym, because on Sunday I run, and I usually don't run in the gym, which also would be maybe an idea. But then if I'm 7 out of 7 times in the gym in the morning, then it might also become a little bit more boring. I don't know. Or fatigue might kick in. So on Sunday I am not in the morning, at least in the gym, but only in the evening. So what I've begun to do is I tried experimentally, kind of as a part socializing thing, part just trying new exercises and learning new exercises, also learning new movements without this existing plan or out of this existing schedule. And so I did a boxing course once, I did a dance course once, but it was not something that made it into the plan. What made it into the plan was a workout that happens every day in the gym, that is kind of a social workout also. And so in the beginning I tried to include it also on Tuesday and on Thursday, but I noticed that it had a significant impact on my performance on the next day. So because it is more a resistance training, not a resistance training, yeah, it is actually a resistance training. Of course there's also a cardiovascular benefit, because it's more targeted kind of toward HIIT, basically switching the exercises very quickly with maybe short breaks in between. But what I noticed is, if I have this here on a Tuesday evening and I have it on Thursday evening, then this workout here, which is a resistance training, my normal resistance training workout, would then suffer quite a bit. So I didn't really know what to do, so I just ran. As of recently, the last week, I just did an additional run, which also seemed to have reduced my ability of performing my normal workout, which is the main thing I need to hit a little bit, and not just a little bit, but quite a bit. So I ran, I think, 5 to 10 kilometers additionally on a, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday evening, and so this impacted my training on the next day, and I performed significantly worse. Instead of taking 40 minutes or 43 minutes to air bike 500 calories, I took then I don't know, 52. I just interrupted it then because I didn't have that much time. So what I've been thinking is maybe one workout, maybe also one social workout, but then So playing basketball, for example, with other people, I did a couple of times also in the last months, not only in the last recent months, but once already before, maybe a year ago. I played basketball once a week on Sunday, but then, yeah, well, and also went going basketball alone sometimes, but then you have the scheduling thing, and you need to text them, and then this is just something that takes away time, usually, and then also annoys me if the other person doesn't have time or the other people don't come, and then you're nonetheless alone. And if you had the expectation that you were alone all along, that it wouldn't be that problematic, but if you had the expectation that it is becoming complicated. So what I did as of recently, I decided to go once a week on Wednesdays additionally. Now I also sometimes do, if there is a national holiday, I go for an additional workout in the evening or whenever I feel like it. And that's kind of the schedule I have been running on, which now seems to have a couple of results. Just very shortly mentioning, I increased my VO2 max as of now in the last 12 months from 53 estimated on my Garmin Fenix 7S Pro to now 57, which seems to be quite a progress if I assume that I am somehow similar to the man in the study that actually seems to have associated a 45-day increase in lifespan with men with every increase of VO2 max by 1 point than what I did in the last year. Of course, this is not causal, but this is just an association, a correlation, you could also say, is I increased my VO2 max by 7.5%, and if I calculated this in days, then I would have the 45 days multiplied by in this case 4, so it would be 90, it would be 180 days, so about half a year I gained back by increasing my VO2 max like this. This is one of the first results. I think this is mostly due to the sprint training, but also the overall cardiovascular load, and also the different loads or the different parts of the loads, anaerobic, then high aerobic and low aerobic as Garmin defines it, or Garmin categorizes it. Now you could also say the different zones, but the different heart rate zones, but I usually look at this in Garmin, so that's what I had just as of now in mind. I also seem to have increased my lifts actually after thinking at least I have plateaued for multiple years now. I also did a few things in terms of supplements, like beginning to take creatine about a year ago, and I now can deadlift 115 kilograms. I also can that's just one thing. I can also sometimes, at least in the last months, I could also pull up 45 kilograms additionally with a weight belt, and also dip the same amount. But yeah, that's just a few of the increases that I was able to do, and I didn't really believe that I would make any progress, but it seems that I am making progress, and so the schedule seems to be working, and maybe I shouldn't change then anything at all. But the question is, what if I change something and then it would be even better?